What brand of colored pencil does Melody use? I know that question keeps you up at night. Are you ready for spring? Me too. Today we're going to be coloring some beautiful images with my favorite brand of colored pencils. And I'm Melody. Welcome to my channel, Making Melody Crafts. Subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you'll hopefully be notified of any video that I have coming out. And let's get started. All right, we're down at the craft table and ready to get started. Today the ink I'm going to be using is the Memento Tuxedo Black dye ink. It's just a wonderful ink and the images come out really crisp with this. And the stamp that I'm using is a PSX stamp, Personal Stamp Exchange, and this one is called Hybrid Rose. It's super beautiful and so much fun to color. I really enjoy it. All right, that's inked up well. I'm gonna go ahead and breathe on the stamp a little bit. It just helps the image to come out better, especially if it's really dry. And when you're stamping a rubber stamp onto a surface, it's good to have something squishy underneath, so I just have a little squishy mat under here. So the colored pencils that I'm gonna be using today are the Prismacolor Premier. This is a 150 set of colored pencils. This is their top of the line. I swatched all of them out some time ago. I got these as a gift a few years back. All right, I've got you zoomed in there pretty good, and I like to start with my darker colors first. So I've got Prussian Green, and this one is PC 109. PC stands for Prismacolor, of course. So all of these colors will be in the description box below. If you just click that little downward facing arrow, should be right on the right hand side. And when I'm working, I like to turn the piece like that just so that it makes it a little bit easier, and it's going to reduce some hand strain for you as well. See that little leaf there? It's kind of like right under the flower, so it can be hard to distinguish in this image, for me anyways, where that flower ends and the leaves begin. So I wanted to start with the leaves for that reason, because I've colored it before and kind of gotten that mixed up. In real time, this takes me about 45 minutes to finish. And that's the Prismacolor Sharpener. So I'm just showing you there that it has a blunt tip and then a more pointed tip. And when you're using it, you want to turn the sharpener, not the pencil itself. It'll put less stress on the pencil and hopefully prevent breakage. And what I forgot to do was switch it to your non-dominant hand. So put the pencil in your non-dominant hand and it'll just work better. Yep, I used an eraser. So that was PC 911 and olive green. I really like working with the greens. I think they just are so easy to get a nice blend, and they just look really good. And if you want to get different shades out of the same color, just slide your hand down the barrel. So the further away you are from the tip, of course, the lighter shade you're going to get. And then the closer you are, the darker it would be. I tend to have kind of a heavy hand when I color, so it's really important for me to remember that. I really don't recommend traveling with the Prismacolors. They are fragile. I've dropped more than one before, unfortunately, on a wood floor, and the one that broke all the way up the barrel was the yellow ochre. I went ahead and repaired that, but it was not good. See here? It's kind of a little cringeworthy, but I just took strips of tape and then put them around the barrel all the way up. And it's working. I've even been able to sharpen it, so I figured it was better than not having the use of the pencil at all. But it is a little cringeworthy. Hopefully I'm not shaking the camera too much there as I'm coloring. I'm kind of trying to hold the table still as I'm doing it. When I used to travel, we'll travel again, but I take a craft kit with me when I travel. I never take the Prismacolors. I just take like a student grade colored pencil. And if you're interested in buying that stamp, unfortunately the company has gone out of business. So I would check eBay or some other kind of reselling platform. And again, it's personal stamp exchange. We will be doing some blending later in this video, so I can't wait for you to see that. And if you're interested in seeing how I store these pencils, just click around in the video and I'll have a link there with a video where I show you that. It's important, however you store them, that it reduces any chance for breakage. So that's the inside of the sharpener. That's how much it holds. It's plenty. I've never had an issue where it fills up before I can, have a chance to kind of like dump it out. So those are the two different points that you'll get with the sharpener. Obviously a more blunt one, and then one that's super pointed. Again, that'll be in the description box below, all of the colors. So the big news in the colored pencil community right now, I suppose the big debate going on, is about those Arteza colored pencils. From what I understand, there's a problem with the quality right now. Evidently the quality was okay in the past, but has kind of suffered recently. I don't have them, but I really like the Prismacolors anyway, so I'm just going to stick with them. And I have the complete set, so at this point I just don't see a need to get, a different brand. They are very creamy when you color with the Prismacolor, so I like that a lot. And the main difference between an artist grade colored pencil, which these are, the Prismacolor Premiers, and a student grade, is that there's more pigment in the artist grade. So you saw me kind of scribble off there on my scrap paper. I kind of got some green on that pencil, so I wanted to scribble that off. Anytime that you're working with markers or colored pencils and that happens, just kind of scribble that off of there, and hopefully that'll take care of that, and then it won't transfer to another area that you're working on. And the paper that I'm using is that Nina Exact Index paper. That's 110 pound. It does have a recycled content, the Exact Index, so it may not be good for every art project, but it did work really well for me for these colored pencils. And I'm just going to start with these lighter colors. With the leaves, I started with the darker colors and went to lighter, but I want to start with the lighter and just lay down some color there. And they do some of the shading for you in these, different stamps and things like that. So there's just no need to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to go with that. And, focus on those areas that they already show you where some shading is. Really, to do it over again, and I know I will do this over again because I like this image and I color it a lot, I wouldn't use that, I think it's, what do I have there? Is it mahogany red? I think it was just a little bit too dark, and the disparity between that and the other pinks I was using was just too great. It's kind of hard to, bridge that gap there, but you'll see I do come up with a way to fix that later. Is that 993? Again, they'll be in the description box below. With the fast forwarding, I tried to hold it there for a while, but sometimes it's hard to see things like that. And when you're working with colored pencils, if you kind of hold that pencil tip almost parallel to the paper, you can reduce some strain on your hand as well. And you can obviously cover more area a little bit quicker, especially with these large areas. There are a few areas when I went outside the lines, but I just try to remind myself, I'm just coloring flowers, right? It's not the Sistine Chapel, so try to keep everything in perspective. I'm coloring flowers for a card. Really, I just think it was too many shades of pink, so in the future, I think I'll probably stick with 3 or 4 shades of pink, or, or whatever color I was using for the roses. Now, in a little bit here, we're going to start coloring or drawing in the letters. So I needed a super sharp tip for that. It does seem like a lot of waste sometimes if I'm sharpening the pencils a lot, so sometimes I don't do that just because, well, I don't want to, lose all that pigment. So I just wanted to show you another angle here of the sharpener where you could just leave it flat on your table, or whatever surface you're working on, and just turn that, of course holding the pencil as straight up as you can to not break the pencil there. I want to mention too, if you were erasing anything and you did have some eraser shavings or anything like that, don't blow them away. Maybe just brush them away or just tap off your paper. Or pencil shavings as well. Always a good idea if you're working on an art project, not to blow anything away. I really liked how those looked when I colored them in. And that was the PC995, I think. Don't those look so cute together? That'd be really cute as like a skirt and a top. That mulberry would be a cute skirt, and then the other color for a top. I think that's hot pink I have there. So now we're going to use some glycerin for blending. Everything's closed up right now, like our house, our windows are shut, it's kind of cold, it's winter. So I didn't want to use Gamsol, the fumes are toxic. So I thought, well, let's just try the glycerin then. And in that top, I actually just punctured the seal that's on that top with a pin so that I just get out, a little at a time so I don't get too much at once. And these Q-tips did work pretty well for this, but those pointier ones that they have for like, fixing makeup or whatever, I don't have those, but that would work really good in some of these areas. But I do grab something else in just a second. Here it is. So I grabbed that little skewer and then just got a little bit of glycerin on there. Actually, I got too much on there, which shocked me because the skewer's like tiny. And then just trying to move around that pigment a little bit. Had a little too much there, so I just kind of gently dabbed that up with the Q-tip. I like how that stem turned out. I think that turned out well. So look at that. There's really not that much pigment on there, and I just did that whole flower. So that's wonderful. It's really not picking up color. It's just kind of, moving it around for me. It is hard to tell on camera. I don't know if that really translates well, but in person that looked really great. So the image did come out nice. So I went ahead and just grabbed the blending stump because the Q-tips were just a little too blunt. And that blending stump is fairly pointed. And that's just made out of paper. Blending stumps are just rolled paper. You can even make your own. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube for that. And if you didn't have glycerin, the reason why I showed you the lotion bottle there real quick was that you can also use that. Because most lotions have glycerin in them. So say you're traveling and, like you're not going to bring a whole bottle of glycerin with you probably, right? You could just use a little bit of lotion that you have either yourself or maybe even in a hotel room if there's a little lotion. And so now outlining all of this just really made these flowers pop because, as I'm coloring it, I kind of lost some of the definition in the flowers, so I just wanted to bring that out again. And this video was so much fun to do. I really think anytime you're using reds, they are just so hard to blend. So when I stick to different shades of pink, that just works a little bit better for this image. Oh yeah, and that was the black PC935. And that stamp there, I took it off of the wood block some time ago and then just put it on that acrylic block. I had so much fun doing this video. I hope you did too. If you had some fun or learned something, please subscribe and I'll catch you later.